So RovyVon have released their E60, and this is their take on the multi-function flat style flashlight genre or niche that you can see out there. Most manufacturers have some form of this flashlight, and RovyVon are no stranger to this format. They've released a ton of these flat style flashlights before, but this is their smallest one, and it comes with a huge amount of different features. So basically you've got a 2000 milliamp hour cell that they've managed to cram in here somehow, lithium polymer cell. You've also got a main spot LED, so you can just activate like that, and there's 4 different modes. There's also a turbo mode, 1,500 lumen turbo mode. You've got a 365 nanometer UV LED in here. This is like a spot, kind of like a throwy UV LED. Plus you've even got a green laser hidden in there too. And these side lights are amazing. So you've got a high-CRI kind of floody side light. It's quite warm as well. There's also a red light as well, and there's a few other kind of modes in there. Plus, there is a third UV mode in there as well for more close-up use. So this is basically everything that you get in the box. The box is pretty simple just here on the side. You can see it comes in a few different colors as well. So that would be aqua blue, green, the version I have here, black, and they've also got a marble version, which I believe is micro arc oxidized. Get this USB-C charging cable and a couple of spare parts as well. So you've got this rubber port cover and a couple of screws in case you lose those. I mean, I doubt it. And you've also got an instruction manual. Here's a side-by-side of the RovyVon E60 with a few other flat style flashlights that I use quite often. So here I've got the Nightcore EDC23. That's probably the most obvious comparison. You can see they're almost the same size. RovyVon's just a little bit shorter, and the side view here you can see it does protrude a bit more here on the front. Not too much more, but that's got to be something to do with these auxiliary LEDs. But it is amazing how they've managed to cram that 2000 milliamp hour battery in there. The EDC23 has a 1500 milliamp hour battery. We've also got the EDC29 here. This comes with a 2500 milliamp hour battery, but yeah, as you can see here, it is significantly larger and heavier than the E60. And kind of in the middle, I've got the Nextorch TA70. Kind of a new one that I reviewed. Okay, so here is a little close-up of the RovyVon E60, and I'm always impressed with their quality and just their overall construction. Great attention to detail, and it feels pretty solid. The finish as well kind of has a smooth sort of feel to it. There's a little bit of knurling or whatever you call here on the side, and yeah, I do think that the marble version might be a little grippier just due to that micro arc oxidized finish. There's no rough spots or inconsistencies at all in the machining and finish. And this light is IP68 waterproof. And that's pretty impressive given a lot of these flat style flashlights do have reduced water resistance ratings and has a 1.5 meter impact resistance rating as well. And there's just something about these RovyVon flashlights that just make them feel like a proper tool, not like a gimmicky gadget. I really like how small the E60 is, but at the same time, holding it in my hand, do feel confident holding it. It's not going to fall out, and there's substantial material to grip onto. Also important to mention that RovyVon provide a 2-year warranty with the E60. So in terms of how the light is operated, you've got this locking switch here on the side, which I've never seen on other RovyVon flashlights or other flat style flashlights in general. You can see it's like a physical lock, so while it's here you actually can't press that main switch. The other switch can be activated though, but yeah, that's the main one, and probably the one that's gonna potentially cause some issues if it does come unlocked in your pocket and maybe you have the switch pressed down on that 1500 lumen mode. And I really like how RovyVon have separated out the various functions through these 3 switches. So, these 2 here, you can see one of them's a little bit higher as well, which makes it easier to locate which function you're potentially accessing at night. And I believe they might be using that PVD coating on these 2 switches. They feel high quality, made of metal, And I do like how the auxiliary switch is slightly recessed in there as well, so you're not going to accidentally press it. On the back, you can see there's a double-sided clip. Feels pretty rigid, and it is deep carry, thankfully. Well, for me anyway, I really like deep carry flashlights, and you can clip this thing onto a hat as well and use it as a makeshift headlamp. Here's a little peek down the bezel, and it looks like they're using an SFT40 there for the main spot LED, 365 nanometer UV LED with a orange peel reflector in there. It could be an SST20 smooth reflector for the spot beam, and the laser is somewhere difficult to see, but just in the top section there, the light may just be catching it. And on the side, you can see these three kind of LEDs, the red, warm white, and the other 365 nanometer LED in there. There is some kind of TIR lens, triple TIR lens that helps to distribute the light evenly. All right, so I'm going to go through a quick rundown of the UI. So this button here, the high button, basically if you press it once when the light is unlocked, it's just going to bring you to a low mode. So it's kind of like a once off, even if you hold on and off. So it's the eco mode, I suppose. Now, if you double press, basically brings you into memory mode. So there are 4 modes in here. So eco, low, medium, and high. So you can actually press and turn off, double press, and it memorizes that mode. Now, while the light is on as well, you can triple press to access a strobe function. Now, if you just press and hold from off, that's how you access that 1500 lumen mode. There's no proximity sensor or anything like that in there. So that's pretty much the main switch, that high switch. Now, in order to access the UV mode, just double press that lower switch, as you can see there, and press and hold to turn off, and press and hold from off to turn on the laser, and press and hold to turn off. Moving on to the side of the light, you can see these 3 auxiliary LEDs. So if you press once, essentially, you get into that main warm white mode. Continuing to press, you can access kind of low, medium, and high. If you double press, you can access the red mode, and press once for a high mode. There is this flashy mode and then a beacon mode here, and then it just cycles. Triple press, and that's how you get that kind of floody 365 nanometer UV mode. This is great if you're maybe checking IDs, that kind of thing. And I do like as well that there is this battery indicator here on the side. So it indicates like 25% increments, and you can see the USB-C charging port located just underneath those 4 lights. Here's a quick little demo of the UV function. So let's go with the main spot UV mode, and you can see here it's got decent range to it, if you can even describe it as range. But yeah, you can see it's charging up the lume for some of these lights that I have. Okay, and it's picking up all those security features nicely there on this note. And yeah, it's kind of difficult to see, but parts of the rock, this rock here, do fluoresce slightly. Now, if I turn this one off, let's put on the kind of side LED, side UV LED, and you can see it's still 365 nanometers, but it's more kind of for close-up use. And one thing I really like about 365 nanometer UV lights is that it just makes everything fluoresce more readily. It's less visible light. But it would have been nice if RovyVon had included a filter, a ZB2 filter on the main spot LED, just to eliminate some of that visible light coming through. So I ran a bunch of ceiling bounce tests with the RovyVon E60 on the main white LED mode, and with the 1500 lumen mode, you can see here you get bursts of about 15 seconds before the light steps down. And that's with me holding down that button until the light steps down. And I kept repeating this over and over again. As you can see, this is like 9 times throughout the test, and it got pretty hot near the end, so that I pretty much stopped at around 2 minutes. But it is good to see that you can continue to reactivate that turbo mode over and over when you need to. This is a second ceiling bounce test on the high mode, 600 lumens, and you can see here through the duration of the test, light retains between 95 and 100% of output. I also ran some tests with my Opal Lightmaster Pro, and you can see here on the turbo mode, managed to get 234 meters of range pretty impressive given how small that reflector is in there. And on the high mode, 150 meters of range as well. So you can see the CRI ratings there between 66 and 69. CCT is more on the cooler end with that white spot mode, so 5,800 to 6,400 as expected. And I also tested the warm white auxiliary LED, and you can see, you know, the specifications readings there. So high CRI, 96 CRI, and it's also a decent range in the medium to high mode, 20 to 30 meters. So you can use this as a walking light. And also you can see the CCT was around 3,900K, let's just call it 4,000K. And on the red auxiliary mode here, also took some measurements, so 4 and 8 meters of range. So some considerations to keep in mind if you're thinking of getting the RovyVon E60. So the UI is a bit tricky to pick up in the beginning, especially the double press for the normal lighting mode. For me, that just, you know, just reminds me of turbo whenever I double press, but that's just how it is on this light. And there's 3 switches as well, so it is a little bit tricky to figure that out in the beginning, which switch relates to what and what to hold down, that kind of thing. But it is required because you've got all these different functions in here. So yeah, that's the only way to separate them out. And if you want a light with that many LEDs and that many functions, you can't just have one button operating them all. And the second consideration is this mechanical lock idea. I think it's fantastic, and other manufacturers should definitely start using this, but I wish it would also lock this laser/UV mode. I guess that's a limitation with these, these physical switches. It's blocking something, I guess, underneath the main higher switch there. So I don't know what they'd have to do to kind of get it to affect the other one. Maybe add a second sort of mechanism that goes underneath as well. The third consideration is that this light gets pretty hot when constantly reactivating turbo, but I do like that you have the option to reactivate multiple times in an emergency. On a related note, I wouldn't recommend the E60 if you're thinking of using this for tactical purposes, something like the EDC, Nightcore EDC 23 or 29 and Nextorch TA70, probably a better option. I just think that all these physical buttons, the lock here, it's just going to get in the way if you want to activate the strobe mode or turbo in a hurry. The fourth consideration is that you might not need all these different functions in a flashlight. So, UV and laser are pretty much situational. Not everyone's going to use them. So, yeah, if you're looking for something that's a little bit more simple, this is probably not the light for you. Finally, the RovyVon E60 will cost you significantly more than some budget flat style flashlight options out there. And the only other comparison I can think of is the Workhorse HD01 Pro. But it has a lower output, 1200 lumens, and also a lower capacity battery at 1200 milliamp hours. Overall, the RovyVon E60 is a fantastic option if you're someone who wants pretty much the most versatile flat style flashlight. You've got the floodlight on the side, high CRI, spotlight on the front, 2 different UV beams, you've got a laser, you've got a red light in there as well. So if you're someone who is an inspector, a technician, maybe someone who also needs high CRI light, all in the same package, this is the perfect kind of flashlight for you. And yeah, probably not tailored towards ultra minimalistic kind of people. And I like how it's durable, it's practical, it's got an IP68 rating in there as well. And yeah, great value if you look at it as something that has everything all under one roof. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of the RovyVon E60 down below in the comments. And if you have questions as well, I'm happy to answer them. If you enjoyed the video, found it helpful, do me a favor, click the like button and share it with a friend who might be interested. Just helps me to get the channel out to more people. And if you want to see more flashlight reviews and keep up to date with the latest flashlight news, make sure you subscribe. RovyVon E60, and this is the turbo mode, you can see. And that's the step down. You get about 15 to 20 seconds before it will step down. But this is a really throwy beam. And let's just go onto the other mode. So that's eco, low, medium, high. All sustainable output as well. And this is like a bridge. You see underneath that bridge pretty easily. This is the high mode. I'll just swap it out to turbo. to show you the extent of the beam. Do like that you have a fair bit of spill as well, but a nice concentrated hotspot. And over here we've got some water. There's a few ducks here in the reeds or grass. Okay, let's just pop it onto the high mode again. So eco, low, medium, high. Now I'm going to just use some of these auxiliary modes now. So this is the side auxiliary light. This is the high mode. So you've got low, medium, and high. All high-CRI, by the way. And as a floodlight, this is so impressive. I didn't expect it to reach all the way to the end of this path, but this will work very well as a walking light. Even the medium mode. The medium mode here is going to work pretty well. This is your red mode. It's a low and a high for the red mode. RovyVon E60, and this is the turbo mode. Ton of spill and big hotspot, as you can see. And there's the step down. And I'm kind of in this nature reserve at the moment, just looking around. And this is really good for kind of spotting, scouting ahead a little bit, because of just how powerful this hotspot is. Now, I'll just go into the other mode, so that's eco, low, medium, and high. And now the auxiliary warm mode, high-CRI warm, low, medium, and high. Very nice and smooth beam. And red mode, low and high. And the high mode on the red is pretty good for just walking around, I have to say. So you can see where you're going. Maybe 4 meters or so, pretty easily. But I'd recommend definitely going for just the white, the warm white. More range and more light in general. Just switch over now to the spot beam. It's high mode on the spot and turbo. I really like how you can just keep reactivating that turbo when you need to. The step down comes in about 15 to 20 seconds, probably any second. There we go. And I don't know, it steps down to almost like it steps down to the high mode actually. That's cool. It's probably a good mode to use this auxiliary light. You can clip the light kind of onto your shirt and have it just as a front-facing light, like a right-angle light. And this is more than enough light really to walk around in, medium to high mode.